What camp was this?
They don't say.
You don't say?
They don't say.
Oh, they don't.
This is a story I found on the web. My aunt mentioned casually that Reb Moshe had an appointment the next day. Would I like to meet him? Would I? It was like asking me would I like to meet God. I couldn't sleep that night. I agonized over what I should wear. Should I approach him? What should I say? Should I mention that his son-in-law was my Rebbe? Should I speak to him in English or my rudimentary Yiddish? I was seated in the waiting room in the best clothing I had with me. An hour before his appointment, it seemed like an eternity. But eventually he arrived, accompanied by an assistant at each side. He didn't notice me. I was frozen. I had intended to rise differentially. Thank you. When he entered. But I didn't. I had prepared a few sentences that I had repeatedly memorized, but I sensed that my heart was beating too quickly for me to speak calmly. My aunt had addressed him irreverently. I was mortified. Then it got even worse. My aunt had heard the chime when he entered and came out of the office to greet him. Rabbi Feinstein, did you meet my nephew Ike? Can you believe a sheiketz like me was a yeshiva bacher student in the family? This is the older woman talking to Rav Moshe Feinstein. Rav Moshe finally looked at me. I was mortified. My aunt was addressing him irreverently. She was joking with him. She had called me Ike, not Yitzhak, or even Isaac. Then it got even worse. She walked over to him. Surely she knew not to shake his hand. She didn't. She kissed him affectionately on the cheek. Poor guy was having a heart attack. As she did many of her favorite patients. She then told my uncle, she told him my uncle, the doctor, would see him in a minute and return to the office. Reb Moshe and his attendants turned and looked at me. I thought accusingly. I wanted to die. In a panic, I leaned over to him and started to apologize profusely. Rabbi Feinstein, I apologize. My aunt, she isn't frum, she isn't religious, she doesn't understand. Rabbi Moshe Feinstein, he immediately placed his fingers on my lips to stop me from talking. He then softly spoke two sentences in English, in Yiddish. I'm so tired. He then softly spoke two sentences in Yiddish that I will remember to my dying day. She has numbers on her arms. She is holier than me. Reb Moshe had understood what I had not. Our holiest generation was defined by the numbers on their arms. That concludes the English section of this. Okay, so now we're going to go to the mystical part, the Kabbalah. Really not Kabbalah, but Hasidus. It's written by Rav Nosson, as he is affectionately known in the Breslov world and in the Jewish world, the Rav Nosson of Breslov, Rav Nosson of Nemirov. Most of this information that I'm going to just share with you was written when I listened to Rav Nosson Maimon of BreslovWorld.org, BreslovTorah.org. It's on audio. Rav Nosson Maimon was running Uman for 20 years. I know him since I'm 17. He was just here. I just got the whole Likutei Moharan on audio, 600 hours on audio. So I transcribed what he said, and then I asked my brother Pinky to help me out. He also helped me, and so I'm just going to share what the translation is. We're on the bottom of page 1. Halachot ketuvat ka'aka, the laws of writing tattoos. This is in the middle of a big thing, but I got the ideas. V'zeh b'chinat isur ketivat ka'aka. And this is the level of the prohibition of writing a tattoo. Ki hakatuv hu b'shvil ha'emet. When Reb Nosson is now going to explain what is writing originally, why was writing created, and what purpose was its original purpose. What was writing for? He explains now. Writing was done to prove the truth, to write a truth. v'ledahot hasheker, and to reject false things. Basically, in those days, you wanted to write an agreement. Even today, you want an agreement, you want to write a contract, you want everything written. A star. Is that Yiddish or Hebrew?
Either one.
Basically, he's explaining that writing originally was done to establish the truth. Okay. Hainu b'makom shayesh hashash, in a time when someone was worried that shinui v'sheker, someone would lie or change the agreement or change their minds. Kutvin katav, they would write a document, kedei, in order shelo yuchal hashikran lishnot, so that this person wouldn't change or lie what they were saying. What's your name? Moshe. You want to help me out with the Hebrew?
Oh, you're fine.
No, help me out. Od velomad sheker. So the reason why a document was originally made, so someone wouldn't change the truth, he wouldn't change his mind, and he wouldn't say lies. Period. We're not talking about tattoos yet. We're talking about writing. Aval, but be'emet neged haramai. But in truth, when you're dealing with someone who's a little bit, what's the word they used to use? That's a liar, a cheat. V'hashikran gam katav eno me'il kenira b'chush. He says even when you're writing down an agreement, it's still not going to help, because this guy is going to squirm out of it. That's not what I wrote. I wrote something else, like Iran is saying, we don't have nuclear things, and then they go and they find it. So he explains here, even if you're writing something down and you're dealing with a trickster, he's going to get out of it. He'll take it to court, he'll challenge it, he'll be in litigation. It never ends. Peter, how's the air conditioning? It's really hot. Maybe it's really hot. Ki haramai hashikran, because a trickster and a liar, yochal lehit laha halif asad monim. A liar and a trickster who knows what he's doing can change things 10 times. Afilu neged hakatuv, even against what was written. Ki tu'an ma'anat shel sheker veramot, and because he can make a mistake and fool you. Because even what I agreed to wasn't really what I agreed to. I agreed to something else. I said it's a blue shirt. I'm going to give you 2,000 blue shirts, but I didn't say what color blue. It was a dark blue and light blue. It wasn't cotton. It was linen. So whatever. So let's keep going here. V'manim shehu bechinat katav shehu beyamin. It says here the right hand in halacha here or in Kabbalah means writing. So interesting point. Rabbi Nosson says most people write with their right hand, and the right hand and the word write, R-I-G-H-T, and W-R-I-G-H-T are connected. Katav shehu beyamin, gamken, yamin b'sheken kanal. This is one of the hardest books to learn, by the way. It's not easy.
In English or in Hebrew?
He says it's both.
In Hebrew,
It connects.
right?
Well, he explains it.
R-I-G-H-T.
No, in Hebrew, in English.
Oh, in English. That's
It
right.
just so happens that it ends up being very, very connected. Okay, let's keep
But
going.
not in Hebrew.
Right, not in Hebrew. Alken ha'ikar hu mi shayesh lo na'amanot be'emet uvateminot. But the main thing is that he who is trustworthy and is sincere, rak imo yecholim la'asok hen b'matan matan. Only with him you should do business. Hen b'divrei Torah musar. You should do business with someone that's God-fearing. Okay. Ki ikar ha'emet hu balev, because a person that's true is true in his heart. The true honesty is in your heart, not what's writing down on a piece of paper. A person gets married, he gets married with a ketubah. He also can get divorced with a get. It's just paperwork. It's just words and letters. But the real truth is what's going on inside your heart and in your mind. That's where the truth really lies, not on paper. Okay. As the rabbis say, Halev yoda im lahakal im lahakal kalot chulu. I lost that one. Okay. Al ken Toratenu HaKedusha, our holy Torah, Yitanat B'Katav Ba'al Peh. Our Torah was given two ways. It was given orally, Shehem Emet Ve'emunah. It was given in an oral way, which is considered the truth and belief. Ki Torat HaKatuv, but the written Torah, this is Ze B'chinat Emet, B'chinat Katuv. So, Katuv Shishad Divret Emet. So it explains here that the Torah was given two ways, orally and written. The oral way is through belief, and the written way is the truth. So it's balanced. Aval afa piken metorat shakatuv levad. If the Torah was only given in a written way, en yecholin leyada, we wouldn't know what was really real because we have the oral tradition. An eye for an eye, tooth for tooth is not literal. The Gemara says it means damages, or stuff like that, where the non-Jews don't have the oral law, so they cut a guy's heads off. The guy that cut a guy's hand off if he steals. We don't do that. Ki betorat en bemevo'o sham dinu hamitzvot, because the written Torah is not explaining anything. En yudein ach lachaniach tefillin, doesn't show you how to put on tefillin, how to write it. There's thousands of laws. You're a sofer. It's not written in the Chumash. It's all orally. Okay, so just wanted to. That's the first idea. Just explaining what writing means, that writing originally was done for truth. Okay, now we go to the next level. On page 2, where the arrow goes. And this is now the prohibition of writing a tattoo. Shehayu nohagin amoraim. The original people that made tattoos were the Amorites, one of the 10 nations in Canaan. That's according to the information. They used to write in their skin, otiyot hakatav ma'anin, what they believed in. Darche umunatam hakazuvayot, and their gods. They would write their belief on their bodies. How are we doing on the camera? Good. Okay. Everything that they did on their bodies was to strengthen their belief in what they believed in. They believed it so much they put it on their bodies. A young kid put on a baseball cap. People do tattoos, right? We wear a yarmulke. We believe it. We don't write it. They wrote it. Okay. It was done only to strengthen their belief in what they believed in. It was a way of connecting with their belief system. Okay, just explained again that they wrote the tattoos to show how much they believed in what they believed in. Now he's going to explain a new idea. Because the grabbing of the writing in the flesh, shesham hazatam beyoter keyadua.